You know, I didn't think I wanted to have Atop the Fourth Wall be like 3 people reviewing stuff, but I think it's all worked out.
I am Groot.
Aren't we all?
But I am Groot.
I am Groot.
Oh.
Groot am I.
We are Groot.
We are Groot.
So we saw Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Torg Ma'ai.
I give it 5 Groots out of 5.
Well, review over. Okay, yeah, we saw Guardians of the Galaxy 2, and who the hell are you again?
I am Zenith. I do a thing on the internet somewhere.
That seems to be a popular thing around here.
Yes.
It's very popular in the Western world.
No, but anyway, I'm Zenith. I do a show called History of One Piece that some people know. Other people, ask me when the next episode is. I just say, never.
That sounds like that sounds like an annoying question.
What's the next history of Power Rangers?
I don't know what you're talking about.
What's the next history of One Piece?
You ruined the joke, sweetie.
When's the next Idols
You
of Anime?
ruined the joke. Why would you do that?
When's the next I Am Groot?
That's it. Get me some tape.
Scotch tape?
How come nobody has any tape?
Yeah, Scotch tape would work.
I don't have any.
Why would you ask the question if you don't have any tape?
Does Nebula have tape?
I asked her.
Really?
She was sitting. Okay, let's. Spoiler free. Spoiler. We could just sit here quoting the movie the whole time. Spoiler free. The movie was good. I don't think anyone expected it to be bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it was bad. I do have some problems, but overall, I thought it was hilarious.
In terms, it feels like they. What I like about there's a lot of comparison and talk right now about whether or not it's better or worse than the original one. I mean, I think the consensus among most people is that it's good, but it's whether or not it is a superior movie to the first one.
I think it's a comparable movie to the first one. It had that same spirit and energy with its humor and action. But this time since all the characters already knew each other, you got to focus on other things with all of that.
Pretty much, it feels like the scope has gone down, because the first movie felt like it was a big galaxy-wide adventure, where we're seeing just the sheer size of alien races out there and different settings and all that. And this is instead bringing things down, because most of the action takes place on one world. Mm-hmm. And it's more about character emotions. Mind you, that doesn't mean the first one didn't have any character emotions. It's that this one feels more like a personal sort of tale and more focused on character development than it is on big explosions, even though there are big explosions.
I do agree with you on the character development. However, when it comes to the threat against the galaxy, I thought the threat was very credible and very scary, and, well, it infected many, many worlds.
I think it's different. And it's much like the difference between Avengers 1 and Avengers 2. I don't think it needed to be a superior film. It's doing its own thing. And what it needed to do was to really dive into these characters more, and they did that. Give us a much better villain, and they did that. Mm-hmm. Have a plot that you can't really see coming, and I did see, I did get that from the film. And overall, what it does is craft another funny story. My main problem, I think, for the first half of the film is it kind of felt disjointed with what it was trying to do with a lot of these characters. There's a lot of things that happen where later on they make much more sense. But while you're watching it, I'm sitting there wondering, okay, where is this going? I don't see the plot thread here.
But, since it all tied up in the end, I don't see it much as a big problem with it.
Yeah.
Because everything was resolved in one way or another.
It's supposed to be, a lot of movies, Todd talked about this once in regards to Star Trek Beyond. Talked about the idea of setup and payoff, and it really feels like we're seeing more movies actually do that again, where we actually have like small little threads that don't seem like they're important, or at the very least they don't feel like they're connected together, finally paying off in the end, like, oh, the first act is actually setting up the third act.
It does a lot of that very subtly, and I will give the movie credit in that a lot of the stuff that is seemingly minor is very, very important, and you really have to pay attention to some of these moments later on in the film. You're like, oh, so that's what that meant. And if you're paying close attention, you're going to be able to see what's going on. I think what I'll give the movie credit is it wasn't as predictable as some of the Marvel's earlier films. There was a lot going on, and I couldn't tell whether or not certain characters were going to go down a villainous path. They had a lot of players on board, but it never felt bloated.
Yeah, most definitely. I especially like the character development. We should start getting into spoilers here.
Yeah.
Overall, good movie. Let's talk spoilers. I really like what they did with Nebula, because Nebula felt kind of one note in the first movie. So actually figuring out her deal in this movie was especially helpful.
Yeah.
The emotional scenes with her, every single time they brought up the things like, she's like, well, Thanos, every single time she lost, would augment her. And she's like, he ripped out my brain. And I'm like, oh.
Jesus.
Oh, and like, her quest for revenge, and then when she actually approaches Gamora and says, no, I want you to be my sister. I wanted you to be there for me when he did this to me. And that's, I think, a very real emotion. They did a lot more with her character, and I think it was very enjoyable what they did with her. It was a very gradual turn, so it didn't feel out of left field. I enjoyed that.
Yep. I think they're setting her up for Infinity War a bit, because there is a minor plot point in Infinity Gauntlet, the original event comic, where Nebula gets her hand on the Infinity Gauntlet. And I'm thinking they're going to set up something with that.
Yeah, that would make sense. She did go off on her own at the end. And like with Nebula and Gamora's relationship, mirroring the family relationships with Peter and his dad.
This is very much a movie about family.
And
Family.
Especially because Vin Diesel voices Baby Groot.
I'm Groot.
Groot was family. Oh my god. You gotta turn your back on family. I love Fast and Furious.
There is a very strong familial connection thematically in this film, with not just the stuff with Nebula and Gamora, but the stuff with obviously Peter's father, but Yondu, and symbolically like Thanos. What a father means symbolically versus what a father actually is.
I'm surprised that they actually didn't bring up Thanos' crappy parenting to in relation to as a comparison point. Like, I was expecting Gamora to say something like my father was a bastard. Maybe you should try. This guy sounds like he might be a better father than mine. I think you should take advantage of that, because I didn't get that same opportunity.
That would have been actually a better lead into that sort of thing where they're all pretty much stranded on an alien world because of Rocket,
Yeah.
as you do. So Peter Quill's father shows up. Turns out that he's an alien, and we slowly learn more and more.
And we knew it was an alien from the end of the first movie, but rather, what kind of alien? He's Ego, the living planet.
Which I kind of thought was awesome, because some of my favorite stuff in these comics is when you have like creatures that are either beings of pure energy or like constructs or planets, stuff that you can do more with. And this wasn't something that you could just fight off or just destroy normally. It was a more... you had to be smarter with it. And
PvE.
they did go smarter.
I like what they did. What I was... I mean, when I had heard rumors that Kurt Russell was going to be playing Ego the Living Planet, and he was going to be Peter Quill's father for like months now, and I was so confused about that because like he's a planet. How do you?
Does he have a penis? Do you have a penis?
Why would you ask him that?
And yes,
have
I
so
have a
much
penis.
This is a very. It's odd. It's odd that this is actually this is probably more jokes per minute than the original, and yet it has much stronger emotional scenes.
Mm-hmm. I do think some scenes went on a little bit longer for the jokes, which maybe was part of the delivery. Where like, okay, we're just gonna continue doing this.
The tape bit was okay. I think it probably worked better in the teaser trailer than it did here. I mean, it contained multiple levels of things, like the "Did you ask Nebula?" Yeah, she was sitting next to Yondu.
And the opening sequence with Baby Groot dancing was slightly odd. I thought it was interesting and funny, but the focus specifically on that one character was just not something I expected.
I think
it's because Baby Groot is like the mascot.
He's become
He's become the mascot.
Mascot.
Yes. And face it, he's very marketable and sellable.
He's the breakout character, so of course the focus is going to be on him.
They sold out at the Disney store today.
He's too cute to kill.
Oh god, they sold out at the Disney store and I'm mad. I wouldn't buy one. It's gone.
Well, I do think that some of the jokes went on a little bit too long. I liked where they went with some things, especially in relation to human concepts. Like the whole taser face thing was really, really funny just because it's a funny name that you wouldn't expect an alien to call himself.
It is a metaphor!
It's a metaphor for what? I want you to say that. When you find him, I want you to say the name of the one who ultimately defeated them. Taserface.
Oh, so yeah. Just also, there's with all the character stuff, Rocket gets a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, I just realized what one of the stingers was.
What?
Okay, we'll get into that later because we'll talk about the stingers later. But
don't forget.
I won't forget because now I realize what it is and like I was not expecting that. But anyway, what were we talking about?
Yes, how it was a lot of focus on Rocket and why is Rocket such an ass, and why is Yondu an ass, and how they are kind of both asses and recognize that. It's been
a while since I watched the first Guardians of the Galaxy, so I need to get back to speed. I was kind of iffy about the idea of Yondu being the surrogate father, because I thought again, it's been a while since I watched it. I could have sworn that Yondu was established as still being kind of an ass to him. Yeah. And yeah, there was the threatening to eat him thing, but I got the impression it was more like legitimate child abuse during that time.
They were very vague in the first movie. From what I recall, he was always vaguely threatening, but whenever it got to the point where he would have to punish him, he would turn the other cheek and it'd be like, "No, you're my boy, you're my number one." And it was never very clear about what their true relationship was. If this feels a bit retconny, it might be.
It might be.
They did put in that during a small flashback sequence, like a young Peter learning how to shoot from Yondu.
Yeah, it just I really get the feeling, with the constant threats, is what they're saying is that emotional abuse is better than straight up physical abuse.
I mean, it's better than the alternative,
which is your dad wants to take over the universe
and use you as a battery if you don't comply.
Yep.
And the connection between Yondu and Rocket, I thought was maybe a little bit stretched.
I could definitely see it that way. That's why they probably get along so well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They are both jerks. They are both forced to do things that they didn't want to initially and then just became bitter. But I think they have very different issues, which Yondu truly enjoys what he does, and Rocket seems to do what he does out of self-loathing and bitterness.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you could stretch it a bit to say that they're similar, and I like that there is a connection, but that focus on that was a little bit much, except for the final scene with them together. I thought that worked.
I get the impression from this movie that Yondu there's a bit of self-loathing there with him too, especially with the revelation that he'd been bringing other kids of Ego to him for so long, and he'd been killing them all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I guess, that's why he kept Peter.
Which,
go ahead.
I have to say that this is a lot better coercion than just saying, "Oh, hey, let me show you a mountain of skulls. This is what we do."
And indeed, it seemed like Peter was actually getting into it a bit until he really started asking, thinking about his own mother and the fact that he had banged so many other women, and it's like, but you said you love my mom. It's like, yes, I did. I felt very, and if I went back to her 3 times afterwards, and if I had gone back a 4th time, I would have stayed, and I would have abandoned my grand purpose. Felt really bad giving her that tumor.
And that is when you know things gon' get real.
Now, I know that doesn't sound quite good.
Like, that whole revelation, portion was when things started to really kick up for the film.
Jeez, man!
Holy crap! What the hell?
That's kind of it's one of those wonderful little things that makes Kurt Russell such a wonderful actor, and either as a villain or as a hero. And in this case, he could be so casual in such evil, and still come across as likable. It's like, I'm your old pal. I gave your mom a tumor.
And his persuasion up until that point was actually really well handled, to the point where you kind of started getting into it. Aside from the fact that he wanted to make everything himself, which, I'm getting Dormammu vibes.
Yeah.
But
Ego, the living universe.
Dormammu, Ego, I've come to bargain. But he does have really good persuasion up until that point, and that really big moment is where things start getting really real, and the action ramps up, and it's less character development. It's more let's do something really extremely awesome, and that climax, I think, is one of the best that we've seen in a Marvel film, because it's not just a straight up fight against a superpower being. There's a lot going on.
Yep.
Behind the scenes.
We got emotional tension. We've got bombs going on. We got characters trying to encourage the others and having to accept get Gamora getting ready to fly back and save Peter. Rocket zaps her, saying, "I can't lose 2 friends today."
And the fruit still wasn't ripe enough.
Aside from that, the only character that I felt got a little bit less development was Drax, because he was laughing the entire time.
Oh God!
But he made up for it in the fact that he was really, really funny,
and his interactions with Mantis were very interesting. And I thought that the way he described his daughter in relation to her, innocent. It's those quiet moments like that, and sure, he was being
kind of a jerk.
He was being kind of a jerk, but that's because it's his way. He doesn't understand subtlety or metaphor. It's about just to him, it's straightforward. I find you ugly.
Son, there are those who dance, and there are those who don't. He doesn't. He doesn't dance the dance of joy.
She was still. Wouldn't even tap her feet. I had this feeling in my nether regions.
My nipples! My nipples!
That must be so embarrassing for you.
His hide is too strong. I must try to cut him open from the inside. Does he Doesn't he realize the hide is just his skin is just as thick from the inside too?
I defeated it single-handedly.
Me next.
He does get some of the best moments in the film, but they don't really focus on him too much as a character, because, I mean, maybe there's not that much depth there yet.
I think it's because his emotional arc has already been finished in the first film.
That's the thing. He's much happier now because Ronan's dead. He's fulfilled his desired revenge, and now he can just enjoy living again.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, he's been doing that with everyone, his new family.
We are family.
He's the one who actually found his family. And everyone else has to realize it when you think about it.
It's such a change, though, that he's laughing a lot more in this film than he ever did in the first film. Like legitimately, he is one of the happiest characters in this film.
No, like I said, I think it's because Ronan is dead, and he's you know, let himself become part of this group and made a new family for himself. He genuinely feels happy about his life.
Yeah, and you know, that's something that the other characters had to find. So now everyone found it. Hooray!
But Peter found the most important thing of all. He found a Zune.
Here, it's a Zune.
It has over 300 songs.
300?
Everyone on Earth is listening to them. Oh my god, Zune!
I gotta wonder, was this legitimate product placement?
Of all things, of all retro things, you would think they would bring him a CD player or something.
Or an iPod.
Yeah, but no, it was a Zune. Something that kind of failed, so...
Here, they're listening to this on Earth now. It's a mini disc player.
See, a mini disc. I can understand.
It's an 8-track tape.
Oh god! Oh god! Freaking 300 songs. Oh god, man! Let's go back in time and retroactively buy a Zune.
Awesome Zune Volume 3.
And then we got Teen Groot.
Teen Groot. This movie has 5 stingers in it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what was the one you were like, what?
Okay, I figured this out now. One of the running subplots throughout the movie gets started right from the very beginning. These, I can't remember the name of their species.
Sovereign.
The Sovereign. The Sovereign hire the Guardians of the Galaxy to protect these sacred batteries or whatever from this monster that wants to eat them or power them or whatever it is. It doesn't matter. Basically, Rocket steals some miniature batteries from it, and therefore the Sovereign are on the chase for them throughout the rest of the movie. And they ultimately fail, and the one in charge is like blamed for all this by the ruling council or whatever. But she says she's figured out a way to make up for it with what she's created, and she has named it Adam. And I was just so confused, like, Adam, like, what is that supposed to be in relation to? And then I started thinking about the original Infinity Gauntlet again. Because there's a character I didn't actually expect to be in the Marvel Universe, because once again, it's one of those obscure, it's a semi-obscure character that, and I mean obscure in the sense that no one in the general public knows who the hell he is.
Howard the Duck?
No.
Because Howard the Duck
we have 2 Howard the Duck moments, because one, we have him in a bar scene, and we have him during the end credits dancing with everyone else.
When you're out of luck, you gotta go duck.
But no, Adam. And it really made the connection because of the gold skin of the Sovereign. Adam Warlock. Adam Warlock is like the arch enemy of Thanos. He is a kind of sort of Marvel superhero who ultimately gains possession of the Infinity Gauntlet at the end.
So, would this be setting up for after the Infinity War?
I think this is setting up for Infinity War, which really is just like, okay, you're gonna put in Adam Warlock right away? Like in the actual Marvel Universe, Adam Warlock was an established character by this point. And I don't know that much about him. Most of what I know about him comes from Infinity Gauntlet and the Infinity Gauntlet sequels, because Marvel loves to sequelize their events.
You know, speaking of sequels and stuff, with that all those explosions going on from those plants that, Kurt Russell's character, like, Ego planted.
Yep.
I expect that the first scene of the new Avengers is going to be dealing with whatever the hell's happening in Missouri.
Yeah, I'm really surprised that they did not have just a shot of the Avengers. Like Iron Man is going, what the hell is this thing? Because Ego planted these flower seeds on every single planet that he visited, with the intention of having this mass overtake the world and thus absorb them and become him. And we see it on Earth because the very first scene of the movie is a flashback to 1980, him planting the seed and, making out with Star-Lord's mom. And they have this, and later on in the movie when he activates all of them because he needs an extra power source from another Celestial, hence his reason why he wants Peter there with him. And then we see this huge tumorous mass start spreading out everywhere and becoming a problem. And we never see the Avengers dealing with it or anything like that.
We see the Nova Corps, because there is one Nova Corps ship, but aside from that, it's pretty much... It's a scene straight out of Digimon Tamers, where...
Oh, man!
It's basically like some creepy alien thing coming right at you, and aside from the Nova Corps ship, where we don't actually see anyone dealing with it,
again, it's that feeling of, despite the fact that he's done this, it feels like the movie has stepped back from the huge scope of the first movie, and that's okay because it's telling a very different sort of story. We don't actually have any live action Nova Corps people.
There's really not as big a extended cast, aside from the Sovereign, who we don't really get too much of them, except for them playing video games.
Yes, I love how their warships are just remote controlled, and the whole room is like an arcade. And you even had a scene where all of a bunch of them were looking over this guy, going, "Yeah, yeah."
And when they started going into this asteroid belt, I'm like, are they playing Asteroid now?
Quantum asteroids. I love that idea. Asteroids that pop in and out of existence. That is brilliant and wonderful. I love how these movies have gone full Kirby.
Yeah. Speaking of full Kirby and stuff like that, how colorful this movie was. Mm-hmm. Holy crap. It's like, they look at DC as man, that's almost in black and white. Let's put up the saturation. And just...
Thor Ragnarok is going to have the same deal going for it.
All the lights, all the colors and fire and...
Especially at the end, because... we already did spoiler. So, Yondu, unfortunately, passes away at the end. He sacrifices himself for Peter Quill, and they give him a scene kind of like Spock in Wrath of Khan, where they send him off.
Guardians Volume 3, The Search for Yondu.
And they burn his body, and it releases many different colors, and the rest of the Ravagers who, they learn what he had done to save everyone, and they come and they send off fireworks to let him know that they never, while they initially were angry with him, they never truly doubted him. And I think that's both a beautiful scene, but the amount of colors in this one scene is just brilliant.
It's so beautiful. Just like you on the inside.
Oh, because I am not attracted to you at all. I find you repulsive. Ugh, I'm just thinking of the possibility of us mating. Ugh, it's disgusting. Oh, Drax.
And at the end, when he gets Yondu's spear, pretty much impaled in his neck.
I don't even know that name of that character, but but I like how awkward he is.
Awkward Ravager.
So, what are you gonna do with all your money? I will use it to hunt down on my sister, and I will hunt down Thanos, and I will slowly take them apart. I will destroy them utterly. I will ruin them all. Yeah, I was thinking maybe Pretty Necklace or something.
Or a hat.
Something to make people jealous.
The other girl's like, oh.
What do you mean you don't like hats? Because it confuses you with the shape of their heads.
Well, when you live in an alien society, that's understandable.
There's an entire scene where Baby Groot is asked to get something, and he keeps getting the wrong thing. Increasingly the wrong thing.
How did he get a whole desk?
That's my underwear.
Do you have a freezer full of toast?
No. Let's
not...
never talk about this again.
They get the guy's eye.
Wait, leave that here. Because he's going to wake up and he's not going to know where it is.
That was just Rocket. Oh, baby Groot. Mascot.
So overall, I mean, I think, while there are some initial problems here or there, I think it really hits its stride near the second half. I think it has some great character development. It was very, very funny. It has a very good sacrifice, good action. One of the better Marvel villains.
Yeah, we've been sorely lacking for good villains in the Marvel universe. I mean, off the top of my head, I can think of Loki. Ultron has interesting elements to him, but you know, not that complicated a character, really. Versus Kurt Russell's Ego the Living Planet, which, you know, again, not very complicated, but such a wonderful villain, and it's really that kind of charm that only Kurt Russell can give.
Yeah, one of the best villains.
This is a very 80s-tastic movie, and I don't just mean because of, like, the music and the color palette or not. They brought in a bunch of 80s actors for this. We got David Hasselhoff, we got Kurt Russell.
We have
Sylvester Stallone. For as one of the original Ravagers / Guardians of the Galaxy.
I know I haven't looked this up, but I am almost dead certain that the first Stinger, where it took Yondu's death to bring us back together, I'm pretty sure all those characters are the original Guardians of the Galaxy, the ones from the comic before this group. Which, again, I need to look that up because I'm not certain, but it would not surprise me if that was the case.
Let's
go steal some stuff.
Let's go steal some stuff. Kurt Russell as the villain is a fully realized, it's not super complex, but what they do with this concept, it's a high concept, and they do a lot with it, and the fact that the Sovereign comes in to complicate things, I thought they were kind of going to peter out throughout the film, but they come back in and they actually showcase that, no, we're a major part of this, and they're setting up something else, and there's a massive climactic scene that ends in an emotional sacrifice, and the battle between Peter and his father is actually legitimately good, because it's not just...
We are invested in this relationship that they have.
Also, Pac-Man.
I'm gonna create some serious shit, guys.
I'm gonna create like a giant statue of Pac-Man.
And what does he fight his dad with?
Pac-Man.
Pac-Man.
Where did they have to license that?
They did. It was in the credits.
For those of you who haven't seen the film yet, he gains the powers of his father because he's half celestial, and they state in the film that it's because of the light of the energy of the planet. He loses the energy when the thing starts to end. So what I'm wondering is if he will ever get that back, because he is still half celestial.
Yeah, but the impression seems to be that it'll take like thousands of years in order to get that back again.
Although he did have a taste of learning the power.
Yeah, and
all I could create was a ball. I tried as hard as I could.
And he seems to enjoy his mortal half. He get what he gets from his mom.
There's this unspoken thing between us.
The music was great. The choices were different than what I expected. They weren't very... The first film had a lot of really one-hit wonders or stuff that we recognized. A lot of these were not as
I wasn't familiar with a lot of these. Mr. Blue Sky was the biggest one for me for the opening credits.
I remember the that scene where Yondu was killing everyone on a ship. I remember that song because they played it a billion times when I worked at Pier 1. Every day I had to listen to that. Come a little bit closer, you're my kind of man, so big and so strong.
And yet, I think you can associate it with something better now. a magical whistle arrow going around murdering a ship full of thugs.
As hundreds of people are just
Yeah, that was that was beautiful.
What I keep coming back to with Guardians of the Galaxy in regards to music is the term diegetic sound.
Mm-hmm.
You know where this music is coming from, and it's related to Peter Quill's perspective. Everything that he grew up with has been from the 80s, and the Volume 2 mix, once again, is more tuned. So, like, the music that we hear throughout the film is music that he is either listening to or that he is probably thinking of at the time.
Or everyone else is listening to.
Yes.
Because even Rocket seems to be really on board with the with playing the music thing.
Mm-hmm. And I don't see many other films where the choice of music fits so well with what the story is telling.
And as you said, the idea of it being diegetic sound is kind of fascinating. I didn't really think about that. The fact that they are playing this music a lot during these sequences in universe,
and
like
they
even they
stop it.
Yeah.
Like, is it really important to bring the music?
Yes, it is.
Wink, wink. No, it's not. It's like, I get ya.
It's not just.
I'm doing it with the right eye, right?
It's not just, hey, let's take insert pop tune here and play it. And there is, it's perfectly fine to do that in film, but we don't see a lot of diegetic sound in film these days, and to see it consistently utilized to this degree is something that I would like to see more of.
All coming from the Zune.
Mm-hmm. Well, now we have 300 songs for the next film.
Well, this next soundtrack's going to be kind of hard to make a CD out of.
I'm just imagining.
Oh god! It's one of those commercials with soundtracks of like songs of the 50s and 80s and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Songs of Guardians of the Galaxy, and like all the Zune edition. And it's like a scrolling list of songs.
Microsoft stock just went up.
Oh god! Now people are gonna try and find their old Zunes and listen to them. Are Zunes even retro? Has it been like how long have they been out? 10 years ago?
I don't know.
I never had one. I never had one.
I still have my Sansa.
I never owned one because no one wanted one.
I have this thing called a phone.
Yeah, phones.
This phone has a chip in it that plays music.
Yes, I have like 600 songs on my phone, honey. How many do you have?
780.
I can have 1,000 more.
I'm sure you could.
I just haven't put it on there.
Likewise. She doesn't like my MP3 player.
It sucks and it's old and it's hard to find anything and you can't even press search and just type in what you want. What kind of shit is that?
I like my MP3
You
player.
have a Zune is better than your MP3 player.
No, it
isn't.
isn't.
A Zune!
No, it isn't.
A Zune is better than your freaking, MP3 player from 2004. 2004!
I don't even know what year it's from.
This guy has a cassette player in his car.
Yeah, because the car's from 2001.
You have a freaking MP3 player from 2000, maybe 2002? Maybe 2002?
Saying I should waste, perfectly good technology?
No, you can use your phone.
My phone is busy doing Pokemon Go.
Use the other phone. Use our backup phone.
Yeah, but that thing runs out of power really quickly.
Then charge it with the phone charger in the car.
I don't want to have to keep bringing it in and out.
Then fine, get a Zune. Because apparently the Zunes are coming back.
Zune is the next big thing.
Oh my god.
Since sliced bread.
It's like, how hipsters buy vinyl? Now they're going to be buying Zunes.
Hey, vinyl is actually really better sound. Like, legitimately.
I don't want to buy a record player.
Has a warmer sound.
Yes.
I don't feel like buying a record player for one record that I might buy.
Yeah, the two records I have, which are the soundtrack to Camelot, which a fan graciously donated to me. So, anything else to say about the movie itself?
Go see it.
Go see it, of course.
I liked the stingers. There are some interesting ones. There are some funny ones.
Oh, the Stan Lee cameo.
Oh,
yes.
Stan Lee
cameo.
I am actually quite shocked by this cameo because Stan Lee is talking to the Watchers.
Yeah, and I just was like, wait a second, is that a Watu?
That was a Watu, which I thought that they were that those rights were tied up with the Fantastic Four stuff because that's where the Watchers first appeared, but apparently not.
Well, maybe it's because
they never say their name.
They never say the name Watcher, but you'd think the visuals would be a thing.
Yeah, but now that Marvel's opened itself up to finally use Spider-Man, maybe Watchers was kind of in a package deal.
No, that was a Fox thing, though.
Oh, okay,
and Fox still refuses to give anything up to them, even though, Fant Four Stick did so well for them.
Oh, yes. It was off for full.
Oh, it's you're forcing it.
Four pun.
We don't need a fourth one.
So who is Stanley supposed to be in this scene?
Apparently, he's all the characters.
He's just an astronaut telling stories to the Watchers.
Apparently, they're all the same character.
And the last stinger is him asking them for a ride. Like, they just start walking away.
Hey, where are you guys going? You're my ride. I got more stories I could give you.
Unless this is another universe or something where he's telling the stories of the Marvel universe.
See, that's the thing. I think this kind of ends the theory that some had that Stan Lee, the Stan Lee cameo, is actually him being a Watu.
You know what? It would be funny if they made this just to address that rumor.
I wonder how many more cameos we can get from the Stan Lee guy.
Oh, don't scare me like that.
He's pretty much the last of the Golden Age creators, and the fact that he's held on for so long is pretty damn cool.
Stop trying to jinx it. I don't want to wake up tomorrow with Death of Stan Lee.
If he did die anytime soon, he led a great life and he did a lot of things.
Yes, but...
He lived long enough to see how many of his characters come to the big screen well, and I think no one can deny the impact that he has had.
He's the Walt Disney of comics.
Regardless of how you might feel about arguments about who created the characters or who really is responsible for this kind of thing, he still has made a major impact in the world of comics, and a lot of stuff could not have happened without him.
Especially, I think the fact that he continues to go forward with not just comics, but film. And I think, what is this, new anime or that thing he's doing?
I have no idea what he's doing. Stanley is doing a million things all the time.
But he's influential to the degree where, he is still doing stuff. And the fact that he keeps appearing regardless is somewhat impressive at his age. With that being said, I hope he continues to live far longer. May he continue to bless the rest of the Marvel universe with his cameos. I think, do you want to move on to trailers?
Let's move on to trailers. Nothing too unexpected. Wonder Woman with same trailer that's been online for a while.
I hadn't seen it. I think, look, I'm very hopefully optimistic. I did not really care for. Okay, let's be honest here. I did not like Man of Steel. Batman v Superman I hated. Suicide Squad, I actually liked parts of it.
I haven't seen Suicide Squad.
Me neither.
But this trailer, it has the unfortunate thing where the trailer's really, really good, in my opinion, and I'm hopefully optimistic. Unfortunately, the same thing happened with Suicide Squad, and that was problematic.
And was the best part of Batman v Superman.
Yes.
But even then, this trailer seems to implies, and I've heard that they are definitely going with it. They're going with the stupid New 52. She's daughter of Zeus bullcrap, which. Hey, guys, we got this really original superhero origin, which ties her directly more with, the female gods, because she's, all about womanhood and sisterhood and, all that stuff. No, let's just make her a frickin' demigod, that's so much more interesting. God damn it, Brian Azzarello.
And, while the trailer looked good, I gave up on DC films and probably won't ever see it.
I'm hoping it'll be good.
For seeing it.
I do not wish the worst on them, regardless of the stuff that they have pulled in the past. I want this to succeed because it is a female-centric movie, and I don't want people to start saying it failed because it was a female as the lead, and that is going to happen if this fails. I know it will.
And that's true, but with the the reputation DC comic movies have, people might not see it based on that, and that's exactly what's going to happen.
I think it has a little bit more going for it, because people still saw Batman v Superman. People still saw Suicide Squad. It's just they're not well reviewed overall. Though I know plenty of people who actually did like Suicide Squad, or at least like parts of it.
Mm-hmm.
Although, so yeah, Wonder Woman. I think will bring in crowds at the very least, especially because it's her first real screen debut. Her actual screen debut was the Lego Movie, but having an actual Wonder Woman movie, this is going to be the first time that's ever happened, and I'm hoping it'll be good.
I want a Lego Wonder Woman movie.
No one wants the DC cinematic universe to fail. No one wants that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just they have such a bad track record so far.
At the moment, they've just made many bad choices. Just judging from this trailer, the action looks good. They got the costume down pretty well. They have the wristbands and the lasso.
I did like the casting.
What I did not like is that they put so much emphasis in the trailer on the sword instead of the lasso.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because it points to yet again a fundamental misunderstanding of the character as the warrior versus the emissary of peace.
And they really hammered that home with the fact that we're gonna train her harder and faster and better and stronger than any other to come before her. And I mean, to an extent, I can kind of see that, but that also says not like fighting for, like the lasso of truth. Like it's more, she's a warrior and a soldier, which somewhat is a part of her character, but it's not who she is.
It's one aspect of her.
Mm-hmm.
Much like how one aspect of Batman is a detective. It is not his defining thing.
Mm-hmm. So I'm cautiously optimistic. I like what I've seen visually, but then again, it is grayscale. It's set during World War II.
World War One.
World War One. Sorry. It's we'll see.
It's a real shame it's not actually World War II, because that would actually have some very interesting bearings in both the comic and the Linda Carter show as well, for that matter. I mean, I get why they do it, because in Batman v Superman, they established that Wonder Woman is world weary after World War One. Let's face it, there's no war is a good war, but World War One was nowhere close to a good war.
World War One was one that nobody wanted. Nobody technically really won that one. Everyone wanted to forget it. It was a very it ended with a lot of people losing their jobs, a lot of their lives, a lot of bankruptcy, a lot of depression,
depression and defects and damage from the kind of warfare. It was one of the most brutal conflicts in human history, and you can't even say it was because it was fighting a great evil like in World War II with fighting the Axis powers. In the World War One started because the nephew of because the heir to the throne was assassinated, and because of treaties, everyone had to declare war.
If you want to learn a little bit more, I suggest you play Valiant Hearts: The Great War. Fantastic game. It goes through a lot about World War One through the eyes of many different nationalities and characters, and it doesn't desensitize like a lot of games. It really plays up the horrors of the war, and I think that's actually really good. But that's off topic.
Now, speaking of war, I was going to say, speaking of World War One,
Dunkirk.
Mm-hmm.
Is that based on a true story?
I do not know, but it would not surprise me.
It looks interesting. It kind of reminds me a lot of at this time, I think last year there was something like The Finest Hours or stuff like that. They've been really trying to do maybe one or one every year or one every other year or something like that with these films that are historical, based on historical events. I'm not sure about the historical accuracy. But they look interesting. I've never seen them.
You know, maybe it's because I don't go see a lot of movies. I don't pay attention to a lot of trailers. It feels like we haven't had a lot of war movies in general. I mean, we've had action movies, we've had superhero movies, and science fiction movies, and romance and comedy. But I don't actually see a lot of trailers just for straight up war movies lately. Maybe it's because we're world weary from war, but
or maybe the trend's slowly coming back.
It could be there. I noticed several trends coming back. And we'll speak more on another trend in a moment. But what I like about this is it focuses more seemingly on the civilians that are helping out throughout the war, rather than the actual soldiers and them trying to help these soldiers survive. And I think that's an angle that we haven't seen very much. We've seen a lot of soldiers, we've seen a lot of tacticians, we've seen a lot of the president reactions, but I haven't seen a lot of civilians really taking charge in war. So it could be good.
Yep. What else? We had Dunkirk. We had Thor Ragnarok, which contrasting that against, say, the Wonder Woman trailer. Again, so damn colorful and fun, despite the fact that just by the very nature of its title, Ragnarok implies that this is going to get dark. We see hell, the Norse goddess Hel with her big horns.
And she looks great. I love the visuals for this.
Again, Marvel's going full Kirby.
And I also love that it seems like they're doing Planet Hulk.
They're kind of mixing in elements of Planet Hulk with the gladiatorial thing.
I like that. It seems like they're really stripping away a lot of the powers of Asgard. The whole "I know him from work" line is always funny.
Yeah.
It feels to me like, despite how disparaging Ragnarok is, like, you have someone like Chris Hemsworth who can really bring across Thor's optimism,
his sheer joy.
Yes.
No one is happy. I mean, he's just so happy to be where he is and doing what he's doing.
And we've seen some interesting things. We see the hammer destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We see him going to hell and dying, possibly. We see quite a few things that we normally wouldn't. We see the return of the Hulk finally. And we see Doctor Strange briefly in the background.
I did not see him in the background.
I don't remember that.
I did see him in the background.
I'll have to look at the trailer again and try and frame by frame and try
unless that was the Marvel opening credits and I'm just projecting.
That's entirely possible. But again, that colorful aspect, which even translates even into the title card, which has that neon 80s font and style.
Yeah.
And I like that they finally brought in Thor's helmet, which, everything about him is pretty much the classic design except for the helmet. And, there's been a lot of, people saying the differences between past characters and modern eyes of the characters. They make the helmet work. And if they continue to do this, they did a really good job with Captain America updating. They did a good job here with Thor updating. And we see Loki, he's still the same as ever.
Yeah.
And making a deal with the Grandmaster, played by Jeff Goldblum, which that'll be interesting.
I'll be interested to see where it goes, because I don't know too much about Thor mythos. I got interested in Thor because of the first film. That actually made me want to know more. And that is what the films should do, and Thor Ragnarok has me intrigued.
We got Last Jedi teaser,
which
I love what I'm seeing.
I can't wait for this movie. I can't wait till December.
I'm thinking Luke's line is in, and of course the Last Jedi is in relation to the idea that, I get the impression that how this is going to play out is that the entire idea of the Jedi versus the Sith, we keep doing this for thousands of years, and it doesn't go anywhere. There needs to be a new option, a better balance in the Force than just having this constant conflict. What we need is, we need proper gray Jedis. We need that middle ground that I think that sometimes the expanded universe is sometimes delved into. People aren't just purely good and purely evil, and again, this keeps happening. And people say, well, Kylo Ren's not a Sith. It's basically a Sith. Anyway, the Knights of Ren, they're just evil people who use the dark side of the Force, and we need someone who can channel both now. That is the future of Force users.
Satire at its finest.
Then we got that trailer for that Hitman movie.
Oh yeah, the Hitman movie with Ryan Reynolds and Samuel L. Jackson.
It looks. I said this in the trailer. It looks dumb, but it looks like the good kind of dumb. Where, you got Samuel L. Jackson, you got Ryan Reynolds. They're clearly channeling a lot of Deadpool, and what I'm seeing is a lot of stupid, but a whole lot of over the top fun.
That could be fun. It's not the kind of movie I usually actively seek out, but if it was in during movie night, I'd probably have a fun time with it, much like the Drive Angry or something.
Yeah.
It looks better than some trailers I've seen, but the one that I'm really excited for, and that I'm really, really hoping it's as good as the original, is Kingsman, the Golden Circle, because Kingsman was my top film when it came out.
I don't know anything about Kingsman.
It's based off of a Mark Miller comic.
It is basically James Bond, only if you take someone that's much more British, and it's more about these rich tailors who decided we're going to take matters into our own hands and created their own super secret spy organization, and their really interesting moral code. And the Golden Circle aims to do things bigger and better, and I loved the philosophy of the first film, so I'm going into this saying I hope it's as good.
I got nothing else to say on that. Anything else?
I am Groot.
Did we get any other trailers?
Trying to think. I don't think we got any other trailers.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Well, that's it from us, and go see Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, and of course, we are Groot.
We are Groot.
We are Groot.
It is worth
Groot
your
are
time.
we.
Check out the links to Zenith's channel in the description.
Turg Era U.
Who is Zenith again?
This guy.
Hi, I'm Linkara. Howdy, 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 howdy.
And we're done.